come to the mapping of interconnection networks into real space. An interconnection network of any given topology, even if defined in an abstract higher dimensional space, eventually has to be mapped into the physical three-dimensional space. This means that all the chips and printed circuit boards making up the interconnection network must be allocated physical spaces. Unfortunately, this is not a trivial task. The reason is that mapping usually has to optimize certain often contradicting criteria while at the same time respecting various restrictions. So, classification of interconnection network can be into direct and indirect networks. Now, what are direct networks? A direct network is basically a network in which each node is directly connected to its neighbors. How many neighbors can a node have? In a fully connected network, each of the n is equal to n nodes, which is that each node is directly connected to all other nodes. So each has n minus 1 neighbors. Then we come to indirect networks. What are indirect networks? An indirect network connects the nodes through switches. Usually it connects processing units on one end of the network and memory modules to another end of the network. So these are the processing units and these are the memory modules. Now you can see that each processor is not directly connected to the memory module. It is having some switch or some kind of other connection or some node in between, some communication node you can say in between them. The simplest circuit for connecting processing units to memory modules is the fully connected crossbar switch, which is this one. This is the fully connected crossbar switch. Its advantage is that it can establish a connection between processing units. So basically it can just directly establish a connection between each of the processing unit with each of the memory module. Now at each intersection of a horizontal and vertical line is a cross point. Now you can see these are the cross points here. Every intersection is a cross point. A cross point is a small switch that can be electrically opened or closed. So whenever you see this hollow circle, it is opened, and this filled circle is closed, depending on whether the horizontal and vertical lines are to be connected or not. So we can see here that P1 is connected to M1, P5 is connected to M2, and so on. So at whichever intersection the dot is darkened or filled, you can say that cross point is closed and the connection is complete there. In indirect networks, there can be further classification also, a non-blocking network and a blocking network. So what is a non-blocking network? A non-blocking network can connect any idle source to any idle destination, regardless of the connections already established across the network. So if there is some source which is not doing anything and there is some destination which is not receiving any data, then we can just directly connect those two, and we don't care about the connections which are already done in the rest of the network. This is due to the network topology, which ensures the existence of multiple paths between the source and destination. We did this earlier a few videos back, that we need to have as many alternate paths as possible. So for that, there should be at least one connection between any two idle nodes. So whenever we see a source idle or a destination idle, then we just directly connect them so that there is a path established there also. Then what is a blocking rearrangement network? A blocking rearrangeable network is is a network which can be rearranged, and the connections that have already been established across the network can be modified to make a new connection. So the previous connections can be changed and or you can say re-established or rearranged in such a way that a new connection is established. Such a network can establish all possible connections between inputs and outputs. Then we come to the topologies of interconnection network. We'll start with the top topologies available, but before that we'll see what topologies are actually. So we can know that in some way or the other, the processing units are to be arranged. Now for that we might need topologies, just like we needed them while we were doing computer networks. So not every network topology is capable of conveying memory requests quickly enough to efficiently back up parallel communication. So we need to see other different topologies and decide which is better and which is not. So it turns out that network topology has a great influence on the performance of interconnection network and consequently of parallel communication. In addition, network topology may incur considerable difficulties in the actual construction of the network and its cost. So this was the importance of topology, and we'll continue with the bus topology in the next video. Thank you for watching.